I'm particularly pleased because what the B'nai B'rith, in addition to all the achievements that you have seen and that were mentioned, what you did give, especially immigrants, is a sense of belonging. So when they went to the teas and the coffees and the meetings, there was a sense of not being alone in a foreign country, not being forgotten, not being not accepted, but a helping hand for not becoming lonely. And that's what you are doing still today. And especially what you're doing, I'm now 85, so whenever I see what you are doing, Rita, where is Rita? 102. Rita volunteers, as you have heard, at my Y in Washington Heights, where I was the president for 11 years, never missed a board meeting. Sometimes I had to say to the director, Marty Englisher, switch the date. I made a mistake, but I never missed a board meeting. Rita still volunteers twice a week at the age of 102. So you are young. So for somebody like myself, as you have heard, if I had not been sent to Switzerland with a Kindertransport, I would not be here. So all of you know what kind of sacrifice parents did to send their only child to safety to Switzerland. I was in an orphanage in Switzerland for 5 years. I then went to Palestine. Never would I have thought that I would be sitting here with the ambassador, whom I'm a little worried how much Hebrew he understands. So I'm going to be very careful of what I say, but I will talk a little about sex. Yes. So I went to then Palestine, and it wasn't an act of heroism, and being in the Haganah, all of us participated in one form or another in the creation of Israel. On my birthday, on June 4th, 1928, I was born, but on my 20th birthday in 1948, I had been given a book, and I lived in a girls' residence, a student residence in Jerusalem. And I had just come back from the Haganah exercises and know how to, I know how to put 5 bullets into a red circle. I knew how to throw hand grenades. I've never killed anybody, but on my birthday, a cannonball entered the girls' residence in Jerusalem and killed some girls next to me and wounded me on my both legs badly. But that's not why I'm short. I would have been short in So I would have never dreamt that I would be in New York, that I would be Dr. Ruth. But sometimes things happen in life. I went to study first at the Sorbonne, then I came here on a visit. And I have to tell you 2 important things in my life. One is when I came here on a visit, I said, let me see if I can get a master's. I studied psychology at the Sorbonne in Paris. I did get a scholarship and went for a master's. I then went for a doctorate at Columbia University. I'm now teaching at Teachers College, where I did get my doctorate. And if you would have told me then that I would become Dr. Ruth, I would have said to you, you must be kidding. Listen to my accent. How can I do radio or television? Now I have to tell you something that just happened recently. When I came to this country, they said, I have to take speech lessons in order to lose my accent. In those days, in 1956, I made $1 an hour. Who could take speech lessons? But now, the actress Deborah Jo Rapp, who plays me in the off-Broadway show, had to take a speech coach to learn my accent. That's part of... That is right. So when I sit and watch Deborah Jo Rapp play me, and it is a little bit like, you all have to go and see it, of course. It is a little bit, and it's off-Broadway, so it's not so expensive. Ambassador, you have to come. So it's a little bit like a roller coaster. First of all, it's without intermission, because they realize that most people like to go to see a show and then go home, especially in New York. So it's without an intermission. And it is my life story. I have to tell you how it came about. Maybe some of you saw Freud's last session. You saw it. There is a wonderful playwright, Mark Saint-Germain, a Canadian, not Jewish. I'm especially to B'nai B'rith here, I tell you. The playwright is not Jewish, the actress who plays me is not Jewish, the producer who did it first in the Berkshires and Hartford, not Jewish. And I actually liked that because it gave it a different dimension. So I went to see Freud's last session, and I went backstage and I told the fellow Martin who played Freud, "You were wonderful. Can I please sit on the couch?" Because I did sit on that couch once in Vienna and once in London. So I wanted to sit on that couch of Freud. And then Martin said, "Can I come to your office?" And I said, "Tomorrow." I thought Freud has a sexual problem. I wouldn't like that. Martin came to my office and he said that the playwright wants to write a play about me. And first I said no, because they just did a BBC film. I'm one of 12 extraordinary women. I thought, not again. I have so many other things that I have to do. On the other hand, I said, legally speaking, I have no right to say no. I'm a public figure, you can do it. And Mark Saint-Germain met with me, and within 2 seconds, meeting him, 2 minutes, I said, absolutely, you can do it. That's the history of that play. It's only a year old, and it does show a little bit, I was willing to talk about some of the sad aspects. End of my upbringing, you will see a picture of Hitler with 2 girls and Hitler smiling, but you also will see, at the end of the play, you will see a picture of my 4 grandchildren, of my late husband, but of my 4 grandchildren, and I say, this proves that Hitler lost and we won. That's part of what all of you have experienced. If you came as refugees, or if you came as immigrants, or if you were here, Jews and non-Jews alike, very concerned about what is happening. And I say that because I survived, and 1,500,000 German Jewish children did not, I have an obligation. Now we'll try to see how much Hebrew you know. I have an obligation for what is called Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam means to repair the world. And that's why I was certainly willing to tell some of my history, but to show what can be done in terms of, I will leave you with a story from the Jewish tradition, and to explain how I can talk like that. Here is Friday night. Here is the rabbi performing the mitzvah of Mishgal, the obligation of that activity that I usually talk about. It's because of the ambassadors that I'm so careful about not being explicit. So here is performing that activity that he's supposed to do. He feels there's something not quite right in his bedroom. He is still at that part of the activity that he can get out of bed, and he looks around, he doesn't see anything, he opens the curtains, he looks a little bit further, and lo and behold, underneath the rabbi's bed, he finds Moshe, his favorite student. Everybody in that organization, in that community knew that one day this student would take over the rabbi's position, not in bed, but in the community. And the rabbi pulls him out and he says, Moshe, is that proper behavior to be under the rabbi's bed when the rabbi is performing the obligation of Friday night? And the student calls out. In Hebrew it says, a little bit embarrassed. And the student says, Rabbi, what you are doing is Torah, and Torah I must learn from you. That's what permits me to talk about it. Now, I did meet you at the Laron. You didn't tell them that all of you, it was late at night, that there was a little tension, and we were happy to be together and to be helping Israel by saying, we are here. What you forgot to say, that all of you were in pajamas. Thank you so much.
Stay here. We're going to present. You know, that's a tough act to follow, I'll tell you. One of the real pleasures that I get as being president of B'nai B'rith is being able to make presentations such of this to some very deserving individuals, and this is no exception. It really gives me a great deal of pleasure to read to you this plaque that I'm going to present to Dr. Ruth Westheimer. It says, B'nai B'rith International honors Dr. Ruth Westheimer with the Distinguished Achievement Award for a life's career of the betterment of humanity throughout the world, presented October 22nd in New York, and it's signed by myself, Allan Jacobs, as International President, and Daniel Mariashin as Executive Vice President. It couldn't go to a more deserving individual, and we do thank you. Yes.
Put your arm around me so I can take a picture.
Why don't we move over here a little bit so they...
Come here, Ambassador, come here. You can stay there, you're tall enough.
Okay.
One second, my favorite concert, come here. Okay, Charlie, come here, otherwise I never even understand. I want to say one more thing. Oh, yes. I do want to say one more thing. When people ask me, how can I go to Germany? I go every year to the Frankfurt Book Fair. That's how I have lots of books now. I do remember that Konrad Adenauer was the first. I remember that I go to the Frankfurt Book Fair. I went until this year, every year. And every year came back with a new contract for a new book. And I do remember that it was Konrad Adenauer who gave Israel a tremendous amount of help in terms of money. And also these days, I go to Israel every year, the President's Conference, and I give lectures. And there are many German young students who are volunteering for the summers and sometimes even for the whole year in old age residences and in places and working with children in summer camps, and they should be congratulated for that. Because that's not an easy thing to have the burden that they have to carry and to live with that, but they do it and they do participate in Israeli life And I think that this is wonderful.